Hey everybody. So finally doing this video. So I'm going to try and get right to the point and not blab around a lot. So let's see if that's absolutely possible. First thing that's really important is this whole technique um, for mind and body mechanics and reconnecting the brain to the body so that the brain can tell the body how to properly relax and how to properly realign. Um, I wasn't able to get into the classes. My class got canceled for lack of interest. So I'm just going to keep reading and I'm going to do my best to tell you guys what I know, but I'm still learning. So, legal disclaimer, I'm still learning. If you actively have something going on with your brain, like a stroke or a seizure, or you have MS or something like that, by all means, try the exercises, but try them slowly and don't do them when you have to run out the door 5 minutes later. Because if you do have a brain connection, in my experience, I've had 7 brain connections, and it's a very, it looks like an emotional event. It looks like a PTSD event. I cry. I have this whole body feeling where I get chills, and it takes me anywhere from 15 minutes to about 2 hours until I feel like I've absorbed the whole reconnection. If part of your brain wakes up, that's a lot for you to absorb. You don't want to have a part of your brain wake up and then have to jump into a car and be somewhere. So, depending on the severity of what you're trying to deal with, allow yourself time. So, I do these exercises first thing in the morning when I wake up, when I know I've got at least an hour that I'm still going to be in my house, or I do them at night when I'm already home and I don't have to drive and I don't have to go anywhere. So, hope that makes sense to everybody. Also, before you start these exercises, get out a piece of paper or send yourself an email someplace and really write down what you're dealing with. Headaches, how's your back feel? How do your arms feel? Are your hands warm? Are your hands cold? How nauseous are you? How much do you, anything that you can think of that you're dealing with, so that after you've been doing these exercises for about 2 weeks, you can go back and read it. Because a lot of times in my clinical experience as a nurse, people forget. We forget. And I would have people doing things and they'd come in and they'd say to me 2 months later, I'm no better, Laura. Why should I keep taking these vitamins? And I would say, well, when you came to see me 2 months ago, you said you weren't sleeping 2 hours a night. Now you're sleeping 6 hours a night. You told me you had pain in your feet. You rated that an 8. Now you rate the pain in your feet as a 4. So I was able to show them what they had forgotten. And that's what's going to make you stick to it. So if every maybe 2 weeks or once a week, you go back to that diary or back to that email, wherever you're putting it for yourself, and take stock of where you are now, if you continue to see progress, then it will help motivate you to continue to do this. Because believe me, I'd like to just never do exercises again. But I keep getting better and better and better, and I'm noting my own progress. So it behooves me to get up and do these exercises every day. So I've done a lot of exercises. I've been dealing with having had a car accident in 1995, in which I was leaned forward digging through a glove box and someone hit us at 70 miles an hour. So my head hit my back and then my face hit the chair behind me and my arm flew somewhere. So I've been dealing with a lot of head and neck trauma, and actually trauma that it did to my whole body because of the way I was twisted up and the shock of being thrown then into the car in front of us and jostled around a couple times as we were in the middle of this big event that now has enabled me to find this information where I can share it with you. So it's all coming full circle, and I'm making lots of lemonade out of these lemons. So what I've realized is, even though I've been to multiple physical therapists and I've been to multiple classes, I've been taught how to walk again and all kinds of good stuff like that, thought I really was um, into yoga since I was 9 years old and I'm 53, thought I knew what I was doing. No one ever told me I was holding my neck wrong, right? So the first thing that we're going to talk about is, and this is all me paraphrasing, these are all how I understand it, how it makes sense to my brain, right? So my brain is my computer. And my spine is my electric cord that plugs my computer into my body. Two pieces. And they connect right here, right there at the base of your skull. They connect right there. So when we are playing games and we're looking down, we're literally stretching that cord and stretching that connection. If your vacuum cleaner is only kind of plugged into the socket in the wall, does it work right? No, it doesn't. Does a computer work right that's only halfway plugged into the socket? Probably not. So the very first thing we have to talk about is making a conscious effort to just pull your chin up and take pressure. You're not trying to stretch your neck. There's no stretching here. You're just lifting it up, right? So ideally for me, I do massage for a living, right? So I'm always doing this and I'm looking down. So 4 times an hour while I'm doing massage for at least 30 seconds, I'm just doing massage and I make myself look up. And then I look back down and then I just look back up. And it's made a huge difference. What you're trying to do is if you were in water, normally if we're standing in water, the water would be up here for all of us. You want to get it to where the water's right at your chin and you would be able to breathe. And at that, you should be looking down your nose at people. So ideally, that's how you want to be all the time. And then every once in a while, you just want to do a little stretch. Where you're not really stretching, you're more looking up and you're letting that plug get in there. You're giving it a second to really make that connection before you start yanking on it again. And putting your head down and stretching and doing this. And it's all yanking right wherever it's connected. So that's the first thing. And then once you get your head up there, you get comfortable putting your head up there, you have to reconnect all 4 extremities to the brain. So you can start with the very first exercise is walking. So I walk all at night with my dogs. So this is how I walk now. So I'm going to put you down on the floor. I'm back up a little bit. See my pretty Christmas tree? I'm actually walking from here. I'm not walking from my legs. I'm not doing this. I'm not picking up my legs. I'm picking my whole body up. I'm doing this very exaggerated so you can see what I'm doing. So like a ballerina, you want to walk on your legs, not with your legs. So you're actually using the muscles in your abdomen to pick your leg up. You get on kind of on your tiptoe, and then you move your leg forward. I'll do that to the side. Your legs stay pretty straight. And in doing that, I'm not walking when we're normally walking like this, we're grinding our joints down. We don't get our legs straight. So we're grinding our knee down. We don't get our hip nice and straight. We're walking on them, we're grinding them down. And that's not what you want to do. You want to walk nice, tall, straight, walk from your belly. So the impulse from your leg should come out your arm. So we want to get our head up, get our shoulders back, which we're going to talk about in a minute, and then walk. It's a swagger. It's like you're on the runway. It's the John Travolta walk. Oh, we're gonna one more time. You guys are having so much fun. But if you can just walk like this for 10 minutes and really pull yourself up, right? Pulling myself up, pulling my shoulder up, pulling up. Being really exaggerated so you guys can see it. But when you just walk like that, you got your shoulders back. You're not grinding all this down. You're actually lifting it up with every movement. You're lifting off your organs. You're lifting off your lungs. You're getting your shoulders back so that everything is not pulling on your spine, which is trying to plug into your brain. It's all back. It's all nice and loose. We have no tension here because we're open. Okay. So that's the first thing. If you can just start walking that way 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes in the evening. It'll really change how your hip and your joint structure are. So when I ask everybody, if you never align your car, we take our cars in for new tires, we get alignments, right? Why do we do that? We do that because if we don't, we know that one tire is going to go bald and we're not going to get good wear on our tires. This is a way of aligning the joints in the body. If we align all the joints in the body and lift everything up, then we're not going to need hip replacements and knee replacements and shoulder replacements. Our guts will be able to work, so we won't have all those problems. This is just so good for you. And then if your brain and your spine are plugged together, they can actually tell your body to calm down. They can tell muscles to relax. For me, this has gotten rid of chronic pain that I've had since 1995, which has been quite a few years that I've been dealing with chronic pain and doing everything imaginable to get rid of it. And now it's just gone because I'm doing these very simple exercises after doing so many exercises. So now that you know how to walk, you're going to practice walking that way with that swagger, right? To really get your shoulders back. Again, make that head connection, get your head up so that you be out of the water. And then you're taking your shoulder and you're doing one at a time so that you can make your brain connect to that shoulder, because we get disconnected from our body. We get stressed, something happens, we start holding our breath, we start thinking about other things, we disconnect from the body. So we need to reconnect to it. So your inclination is to bring it up. We don't need to bring it up. It's already up. We're already like this. Okay. So we want to bring it back and down, and then it will automatically come back and down. And I'm doing it really big so you can see it. I'm keeping my arms straight as I can. I'm just letting it kind of move how it wants to move. A little bit there at the elbow. Put this in any position. What we're doing is we're mimicking the movement of how children learn to walk. When children learn to walk, they do this kind of stuff. They keep their extremities very straight. You can even do this. This was part of our class. Just weeble wobble like a kid. Because that accesses your brain differently, because the body knows, oh, they're doing this weeble wobbling. They're going from crawling to walking. We have to have a different program running inside the body. So when we mimic the weeble wobble, instead of a brain sensation going through our brain like a bolt of lightning, oh, I want this arm to move, and it goes to the brain and makes it move back and forth like a lightning bolt. It actually goes into the brain, to the brain stem, and it opens up like a flower and it touches the whole brain. So if a part of the brain has been disconnected, has been damaged, seizures, strokes, jab, whatever, for me, it was multiple concussions. This gives another part of the brain the opportunity to light up and answer. If it's just a lightning bolt, it can only access what's in the path of the lightning bolt. When it opens up to the whole brain like a flower, it has access to the whole brain. So this isn't a quick fix. This is you leaving your cell phone at my house and it ringing once. I'm probably not going to answer it. But if you leave your cell phone at my house and it rings solid for 3 days straight, I'm probably going to answer the phone just to even say, hey, she's not here. She left her cell phone. So we need to ring and ring and ring and ring the brain until we make one of the other parts say, I'm going to answer that signal. Nobody's answering that signal. And the body keeps calling over and over and over again. It must be important, right? When the phone rings over and over and over and over again, and the same number keeps calling you, and you're like, oh, I really don't want to talk to that person. But it keeps calling over. You're like, oh, they must need something. Something must be wrong. And you answer. It's the same thing that happens within our brain, right? So you want to work one joint at a time. And the idea being slow and soft. If I get real loud, you start to tune me out. If I get real quiet, you listen, right? So if you're moving a joint and you're moving it really big and really fast, you're going to overload the brain. It's going to partially tune you out, and you're not going to get the benefit that you really want. You want to really slow. Really slow. as slow as possible. I do it even slower, but you guys would never even think I was moving it. Slower, slower, and smaller circles are the best. Really, really small circle. And then as slow as I can. And then for me right here, so I'm going to do it a little bigger so that it's exaggerated, right? For me right here, there's a little hitch. It's not easy. This is easy. The whole rest of it's easy, but right here is a little hitch. So I'm just going to rock back and forth in that spot. Same way if I had a dirty spot on the counter, I'm not going to clean the whole counter 10 times. I'm just going to scrub that spot. Right? So you're kind of scrubbing that spot wherever it is for you. And you can put your arm in different positions, but it's the same thing. You're just trying to move this joint in your shoulder in its natural rotation. And because we are way leaned forward all the time, we don't need to do them forward. We just need to do them back. So for me, I do each shoulder 5 minutes a day. So that's how I start when I get up and I'm walking around my house. First thing in the morning, I try and walk, okay, you know, because you got to walk. You got to walk to the bathroom. You got to get a drink. You really haven't done anything else. You know, you're getting the dogs let out and I'm just, you know, walking. And then I'm like, okay, I got a couple minutes. Got the dogs outside. Got the kid woke up. He's in the shower. Now I get time. I do my shoulder rolls. First thing, get my shoulders back so that I really have my good posture from however I slept at night. And then I drop down on the floor and I do my leg exercises. You're just trying to do the same thing with your leg. So for anybody that can't get on the floor, you're trying to do the same thing with your leg. You're leaving your leg really straight. And you're just making this one pivot. This one. You can do the same thing sitting in a chair. Let me grab a chair. I'm just swiveling. It's really hard to see. But moving this hip out, moving this hip out, moving this hip out, moving this hip out. You can just do one over and over again, which I did in the beginning. But then for me, it's just more fun to move them back and forth. So you start with one, just like you start with one arm. And then after you've been doing it for a couple weeks and you get bored, you start to like get a little more interesting, you know. So now I'm doing all 4 of them at one time. Right? Put both my shoulders back. Bring it out and back, out and back, out and back. And then at the same time, bringing my shoulder back. So when this one comes out, it naturally just makes my arm want to go back and vice versa. So at first you connect one joint at a time and you concentrate on one joint. And then you start to concentrate on integrating all 4 of them together. So however that works for you, whether you can stand, whether you can sit in a chair for anybody that's in a wheelchair or anybody that's unsteady, has elderly parents that are unsteady, don't make them stand. Let them sit in a chair to start this. And then we're going to go onto the ground, which my mom has a really hard time getting back up. So she can only do these when I'm home to help her get back on the floor. So I've got my other camera on so that I can see what you guys are seeing when I lose you. So the first thing you do is get back. How we doing, Lost? Am I making sense so far?
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing you do is you're going to lay down. You're going to get your feet. My feet should be where my shoulder is. That's how you're properly lined up. Feet, shoulder, right? So nice. I got a camera. I can tell I'm lined up. So you're just going to lay completely back. That's awesome because I can see on the other camera. So I'm just laying completely back. And the first thing you're going to do is, and you're not letting your I am gonna give you guys the other camera. You can see from here too. So that's about how much room I've got between my legs. And I'm not letting them flop. I'm slowly lowering them to the ground. And again, the slower the better, because you're mindfully moving these muscles. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit so I'm not too slow until, and you may be here, wherever you are, just that's where you are, and you just want to breathe into it. And be aware of anywhere where you have tension and just breathe into it, right? I can sit this way for a full 3 minutes. It feels so good on my hips, right into here for me, and right here. And then you come back and you go the other way. And again, really slow, but I don't want to bore you guys. And you can see how much of me's lifted off here. Because I'm just letting it go to the side. It's stretching all of this. And once you do that several times, and you feel like you've gotten your pelvis worked out, then we're going to bring in our arms. Like this. So you guys can see where my legs are now. I've got my one arm here. And it is, I can't get out there to get my arm. It's hand down. My hand is down. While I move my legs away from my arm, which is right here. I'm going to do this in 2 steps so that you can see. So my legs are all the way over. And now I'm going to bring this arm up. And my hand has to be touching the carpet. If my hand comes off the carpet, starts doing this, or starts turning sideways, that's it. That's as far as you go. I've managed to work to where I can get my arm way up here. And right here, it wants to start twisting sideways on me. So his hand is still on the ground. So I'm just going to leave that arm alone. I'm not moving that arm at all. Not moving anything at all. I'm going to move from the waist. Taking my waist over, my chest over. And back. So I'm going to go this way because I know this is kind of challenging. So my hand's out here. I'm going to let my legs fall away from me. My legs have fallen away from me. My hand is here, so now I'm bringing that hand up. Let's get that hand, bringing that hand up, 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 up. Again, as slow as possible. I'm hitting my chair. And when I get all the way up here for me, what I'm going to move is my body. I'm going to let my body and my starting with my waist, starting with my hips. My hips are coming first, and my chest is coming. And it's bringing my arm with me. I'm not moving my arm. And then I bring it all the way back around. Oh. No, I get it back with it, and I bring it all the way back. And I get up here where I can't get it back any further. It's still on the ground. My palm is still on the ground. Then I come back the same way I got there. The shoulders come first, then my belly, then my hips. And then my arms back down, and my arms coming back down. That's what's aligned. Put my collarbones, my shoulders, and my neck back in place, where I had vertebrae that had been sideways since 1995 and had a pelvis that was out of place since forever. So there's one more exercise that we're going to do. Let me find my plate. Set this camera down and see what we're going to get. So your belly is like a plate. So I'm going to be on the ground just like I was, but this is going to be here and we're going to be doing this. So I'm going to get back this way. And I've got plates. What happened on this one? No, I don't want that. Somebody keeps sending me messages. It keeps trying to go into my, keeps taking over my phone. So, all right, just wanted. I only have white dishes. I didn't think about this when I wore a white shirt. So I'm gonna set this down at first and see if you guys can see what I'm doing. So I actually come off the floor and I'm only letting right here, this part of my hip is the only thing on the ground. And then I'm rolling back and now this part is on the ground. Now here and here, and here, and here, here. So only one part, there's nothing on the ground right now, except for this little part of my hip. And then I bring it up a little more. Now that's the only part right there. And you're literally going in a circle. This is the hardest part to try and show somebody without being in the room. I don't know if this way, but see how that helps. And up, and back down. Up. I'm being a little exaggerated so you guys can kind of see, hopefully. Up. Is that at all making sense, Lost?
Doing good.
Okay. So basically you're just laying on the ground and you're trying to do this with your belly. So only so about 2 inches of your backside is on the ground. And you just go all the way around where this is. So here's on the ground, and then here's on the ground, and here's on the ground, and you're just moving around. And it naturally gives you that kind of, your legs just go with it, right? You just go on with it. And that's going to realign everything in here. So I start with the walking, just around the house, 1 or 2 minutes, let the dogs out. Then I get about 5 minutes per side. So I'm usually sitting on the beamer because I do 8 minutes of the beamer. So I actually get like 4 minutes on each side with my head up. Then I lay on the floor and I do these probably 4 or 5 times with long stretches where I just lay there for like 2 minutes and I just feel the stretch. And then after I've done that, then I bring the arm in and I do the same stretch, only now it's not a stretch for this part, and I concentrate on this part, and I concentrate on extending my arm as far as I can, stretching, elongating my neck, and thinking. This is about breathing into the body. So if you're having some discomfort, it's not about running from it. It's about slowing down, softening. If something hurts, back up and don't be as hard on yourself. This isn't about hurting yourself. It's about that mind-body connection. So if you find a spot that's sore, for me, doing this pelvic rotation, there were certain spots here and here that were just so hard to go around. So when you're going around and around and around, if you find that every time you hit 1 o'clock, say, it's really hard to get from 12 to 2, it's really hard around 1, then you can make a little circle around 1. You make littler circles all the way around this, which is really, really a challenge. I didn't start doing that until probably I'd been doing these exercises every day for 2 months, but can actually do You won't even be able to tell, I'm sure. Right here is hard for me. So now I'll just try and do little circles right in here. And then little circles the other way. I'm actually trying to make a little circle right in here. And for me, my tailbone, which is supposed to, oh, can't pick that up, which is supposed to look like this, your tailbone. The way I'm sitting on it right now, my tailbone was sideways and askewed. So that's about what I've been sitting on my entire life. And this fixed it. And because my tailbone was crooked, neither one of my hips could fit into socket properly. And that's all fixed just from doing these really, really simple exercises. But I understand that when I had the whiplash, it disconnected, it pulled my spine from my brain. So my brain has been trying to tell my body how to realign, tailbone relax, ligaments relax, and it couldn't get the impulses to my body. And suddenly doing these really simple exercises just since July, and it's made all of the symptoms that I've had since 1995 go away. The brain fog, the nausea, things I didn't even associate with my car accident. I associated them with the side effect of the medications they gave me during my car accident. Oh, that's why my stomach was sick. No, it turns out post-concussion, you get nauseous, right? My vision problems, where I haven't been able to play any kind of games online because it would cause me to have terrible migraines just from looking at a screen for a couple minutes. Totally gone. I can play multiple games now with my kid, where I couldn't get through 3 Mario Kart races and I had migraine. And now I can race for a couple hours and not have any problem. So those are the type of things that I think sometimes we think we just have to live with, and we think we've plateaued. And I don't think there is a plateau. I think there's always a next level, and there's always something else that can improve us. So I invite everybody to try these, and please reach out to me and let me know how you're doing. Reach out to me if you have an issue, and I'll be happy to see what I can do. I'm going to continue to read and continue to learn, and you guys are basically guinea pigs in here with me. You're going to help me learn how to teach this better and refine my technique and my talk, so that we can go global. Because it's my thought, now that my brain is starting to work again, that a lot of the issues that we have right now are because people literally can't think straight. And looking back, I have not been thinking straight since my car accident, because my brain was disconnected from my body through an injured neck and spine. And now that it's more plugged in than it was, my vocabulary, my thought process is completely different. And the world doesn't look like such a scary place. And I can comprehend things on a different level, more playing 5D chess instead of 2D chess. I can see more things long term. And I think we, as a society, need that. I think we've all hit our heads at one time or another, or sleep deprivation kills brain cells, PTSD kills brain cells. So growing up in traumatic childhoods, I probably had brain trauma even before the car accident, just from PTSD. But a lot of us have drank too much. I definitely drank too much alcohol. I definitely smoked some things and tried some things that killed some brain cells. And I don't think I'm alone. So I think this is, for me, one of the best things that I can do for humanity is to try and put this forward. And here's a really simple exercises that can help heal your brain, right? Your brain that runs everything. It can update your computer and get you better software. And that sounds like a good idea. Sounds like a good idea to me. So I challenge everybody to do this. Try and do it every day. The last thing I'm going to say is what happened to me is the first time, second day of class. So I had spent about 8 hours doing these techniques the day before. We spent an hour just walking around with that walk for a straight hour. After we had done multiple exercises with rolling our shoulders back for 20 minutes and pivoting in the chair for another 20 minutes. So it was a lot of brain connecting exercises over and over. But day number 2, the second movement I did when I had someone else move this leg and this arm at the same time, that's all they did was move these two together. I had a brain epiphany where for the only time in my life, I actually saw white blinding light to where my eyes were open. I mean, my eyes were closed, but I opened them. And the light did not diminish. It was blinding. It was very quick. Seemed like 15 seconds, but it was probably less than one. But blinding light, and an overwhelming physical reaction of shivering and shaking, almost like I could feel the reconnection happening now that I'm looking back, almost like I could feel the electricity coming back down into the body from my brain. Like the brain could finally get these impulses all the way through to my feet. And I felt that rush of energy go through me and give me shivers. And then I started to cry, and I cried uncontrollably for probably 15 minutes. But there was no emotion. There was no sadness. It was just like I had dirt in my eyes and it just needed to come out. It felt very cathartic, kind of like blowing your nose. I have no emotional attachment to blowing my nose. It just needs to come out. It was very much like that. So I think that there must have been, when the brain got reconnected to the body, there must have been a lot of energy in the body that needed to be released. So a lot of tension, a lot of pain, whatever signals were coming from the brain to my body, because I've been completely different ever since as far as pain level and comfort in my own body. I'm assuming that that's what happened. So this is why I say, allow yourself time. Don't do these exercises when you're on the run. That was the first brain wake up that I had. And then the first 3 were pretty much like that. Only every time it was faster. The light was faster and maybe a little bit dimmer, and the reaction was faster. By the time I had the 4th one, it was like a sparkle, not a big white light. It was like a teeny little spark, and I might tear up for a second and just breathe and be like, oh, okay, it happened again. But so such a smaller thing. And the last one was hardly noticeable. I felt the little spark in my brain. I didn't see anything. I didn't cry, I didn't anything. I just took these really deep breaths, like, oh, that's good. Oh, that's really good. Oh, and I was like, oh, I think I just had I think this is just more minor. So maybe some of you will have really profound see light. Maybe you'll have just little ones. And that's been probably 6 weeks since I had anything noticeable. But I'm still charting stuff for myself, my energy level, my pain level. How often do I need to get a massage? How does my neck